Welcome to the Effects Loop. I'm Scott.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Diaz.
We're keeping you in the loop of the guitar community. All right, we're running a little short this week. We don't have Marissa with us, so we're just going to jump right into our What's New. Chris, what's going on with you this week, man?
Let's see, when did we record last? Last Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay, so we finally picked up the bass, and I got to use it yesterday because we're recording on a Monday. So it plays really well. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And I got a lot of Go ahead.
It looks great.
Yeah, a lot of people were like
really does
asking me
great
about it when I posted it in a couple of groups, and then actually at the church I was at, they were like, "So how did you get that color?" So it was
The one thing I keep forgetting about it is you have a bound neck.
Oh yeah,
and that just makes it look so much better.
yeah. That was like the one thing I had to like put my foot down on it when like Marissa and I were like discussing it, and I was like, I really like how a bound neck looks, but I think it's kind of like grown on her a little bit. I hope so.
Well, it doesn't look gaudy.
Yeah,
like it looks classy. So that's
very much so.
Like that's the cool thing about like some sparkle guitars. Like you've got the really over the top ones, and you're just like, ew. But there's certain colors that just have a really nice. Like everyone loves a good gold sparkle, like because it can look really good. But whenever you get some of these random colors, it's just like lime green, stuff like that. You're just like, no.
It looks like a funfetti cake.
Well, so I'm from Florida, so like that's like if I see a like lime green sparkle, I think of a cholo because a lot of Mexican people had their car that color. And I don't understand why.
interesting.
Oh, then it fits guitars perfectly because like all guitar colors are hot rod colors.
Yeah,
basically.
or the Corvette guitars.
That was, remember the John Mayer PRS that came out this year? Those colors, like we were like slagging them, or like this is boring, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
They were all Tesla's colors. That's how we picked them.
Really?
Yeah, those are the same colors Tesla uses. So he was like, when Leo Fender came out with his, he was looking at the hot rods of the era. I guess John considered Tesla the modern hot rod. So there you go. Fun fact.
Oh wow, interesting. Didn't know.
So
That's your John Mayer fact.
That's my one John Mayer reference. You're allowed to talk about a Kemper later.
All right, so in addition to the bass, also got I'm still not sure how to pronounce the name of the brand, Alesis Quadraverb. I'm not sure what year unit it is, but it's been pretty cool for me. I'm definitely like very tempted to like keep my rack case and like drag it around with me. And like set up a couple of like church presets because like even the drive from like the preamp is pretty good. So I'm kind of tempted to get like a second and like just make that my like church drive section.
Is the Alesis the one that Slash used to use?
Maybe. I know the reason that I've really looked into them is because that's what Jeff Buckley used a lot, and like most famously on his version of Hallelujah.
I need to listen to that song again.
I still love the Leonard Cohen version. He did a live version, and it's like he's got this low, sultry voice. Just like it makes you want to go to sleep. But Jeff Buckley's version is amazing. You just listen to it, and you're just the way his voice just soared through the song was amazing. I still think it's funny that churches play that song. I'm just like,
yeah.
They're just like, no, we're gonna skip that verse. Totally.
Yeah. So, Diaz, what's new with you, man?
I got string joy strings. So I've been working like I haven't had a day off. My last day off was the last day we recorded. So and we even had to move the recording back a day because I was working yesterday. So I haven't had much a chance to do anything. I got 3 sets of strings in with so we talked about in the last episode. I wanted to try a wound G, so I got those in, but I haven't even taken my Firebird out of the case to put them on yet. I might do that tonight before I go to sleep, but I think that's pretty much it with me.
I had somebody hitting me up on a Facebook chat asking about String Joy and wound Gs. So apparently people are paying attention, and I don't think they remember which Scott is actually String Joy.
So just remember, Scott Hamilton is the one that you send all your hate mail to.
Yes. Yeah, I get plenty of that already about Diaz. So now we can just
every once in a while I just send an email. I'm just like, what was it? Happy Gilmore, you suck. Like, that's it. I'm just gonna send random gifts of that guy. Just, you jackass. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot new going on. I don't think I have any plans for any new gear really either.
You're not buying another phaser?
No, actually, I saw him buy new gear. I've got a setup. So I bought the little company called
Velotron?
Yeah, or
Velotone?
Velton.
Yeah.
They had the PH10. I bought that. So the guy, I talked about the story. I said, it was kind of, me and the guy kind of hit it off. We were pretty cool. When he took me out to dinner.
You going antiquing next Saturday?
Listen, don't be a jackass. Antiquing's on Sunday. No, I'm actually going over to his place. I'm going to bring my Kemper and let him mess with it. And in exchange for that, he's cut me a killer deal on a few more Velton pedals. And I'm picking one up for Chris as well.
Yeah.
So... he's a really cool guy. He's got a little studio, or not a little studio. He's got actually a nice studio downstairs. He's got quite a bit of gear. I had to go through and do the whole look at this, look at this, look at this. But it wasn't like boring. It was really cool. So he's got some interesting toys down there. He's got 2 Joe Bonamassa Firebirds, the Epiphone Firebirds.
Interesting.
So he's got 2 different colors of them. So I guess he's a Joe Bonamassa fan. But I was just like, I saw Firebirds. I was like, I want to touch. I'm picking those up next week at some point, but I'll talk about it on the recording because I can't remember which pedals I said I was going to get. And I think he just threw a bunch of stuff my way for helping him out with the Kemper and all that. So
that's cool. Yeah, I bought no new guitar gear this week, believe it or not.
Wow.
I know. I did buy stuff though. So it's been last week I was in Ableton really heavily because that foot controller thing that I've been showing off is effectively working, and I'm just kind of testing it out and using it. So I used it last Sunday to run all our loops, tracks, clicks, everything for the service again.
So do you do different banks and you always know this does this no matter what bank it is or something, or are you just programming different commands like play, pause, next, stuff like that?
Yeah. So I have it right now where 1 or 2 banks. Usually I use 2 banks to do it. So I have the songs before the sermon and then the songs after the sermon on separate banks, and each one of those will trigger the start of a song. And then I use the 0 bank to use that to kind of mute individual tracks. So for example, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago we were playing, and our singer kept jumping the start, and so I would kill the cue track. I build into that thing a cue of verse 2, 3, 4. They kept jumping the start, and so I was just
verse
all right,
2, 3. No, all right, we're in the verse already, but okay.
Yeah, it was moments like that. So I'm like, all right, that will keep throwing people off. So I'll just mute that track, but keep the click going. Stuff like that. Or if that's the case, I also then need to kill the backing tracks and stuff like that. If we have backing tracks, depends on the song. So yeah, digging into that, and then in the process of that, I blew up my entire Waves plugins installation. So I had to upgrade to the newest version of that. So now I have Waves Diamond instead of Waves Gold because it was like $100.
Fancy schmancy.
But yeah, I get like new compressor plugins that I now need to learn how to use to justify their existence. So yeah, that's my new. So yeah, let's dig into some gear news. Chris, why don't you start us off with the Tzadik California Classic?
Come on, mouse. Well, it's a Telecaster shape, a Relic in my opinion, not the greatest way, because as far as looks go, it's got your standard, tele aspects of like.
Did someone shoot it with a shotgun with some like
exactly? It looks
salt?
like somebody just took a screwdriver and was like nicking around the outside edge and then like sandpaper where like the top strap and your forearm goes.
I just threw my keys at it for 7 months.
Yeah, but like
that's what I got.
The entire
I left a bunch of change in the case.
But the center of the guitar is like pristine.
Look at the. I'm sorry. Look at. You can zoom in on the logo. It looks horrible. It's a different color.
I mean, that's normal when it's a stick-on.
No, not that much of a difference. Usually it's like a water slide.
Can you tell if it's like sticker?
Just sticker
well,
with
if it's a
color.
water slide, it chips off. If it's a sticker, it stays like that. Like I think my John Mayer has a sticker, not a water slide.
No,
so there's a little bit of clear around it.
No, it looks horrible. I think it looks horrible.
Yeah,
I think it's.
If they did like a regular Relic job or just left it with like the forearm stuff, it would have been fine. But just like the clearly faked Relic,
I love it. The goal isn't to reinvent the wheel. Yeah, I get it, especially with that design. But redefine a legendary guitar by making modern adjustments, custom specs that improve playability and tone. That was William Renewed Exotic Master Luthier, because I pronounce it exotic. If you know the right way to pronounce it, go in the group and tell me I'm pronouncing it wrong.
So
it starts at $2,500.
It's
yeah. Well, I mean, in the boutique world, that's about what Relic guitars go for, don't they?
Basically,
I don't get it. I mean, I understand, but with a Relic job like that honestly looks like a guitar, and with the decal on the headstock, that looks like a guitar you'd find for like $300 a part caster on your Facebook Marketplace from a guy named like TJ.
Yeah.
So on their websites, they say they can do a light, medium, and heavy, and super heavy aging. So I'm hoping this is the super heavy, and like there are more like reasonable
natural
aging levels on this.
I love that you're like natural, like one that doesn't look like a 6-year-old did it.
Yeah, I mean the other part that kind of just is bugging me with the models I'm seeing here is like all the chrome on one of them is like still super shiny, and it just like it looks like you replaced the bridge on a vintage guitar.
Yeah, it looks like poop in my opinion.
That looks a little out of sorts. Whereas but at the same time, oh gosh. So we keep talking about this guy. One of the guys I play with at church has a Fano that is Relic, and we always make fun of it, how it's Relic. And like one of the things that they Relic their tuning keys and they do everything like that. So like one of his tuning keys really sucks because it's Relic too far, and it kind of sucks. It's like. That's it. They do that, and it just gets too extreme.
Yeah. I will say though that on their website, their blonde model that they have shown definitely looks a whole lot better than the 3-tone Sunburst.
I would agree there. I like the see-through.
Yeah,
like the wood grains coming through. It's a lot better. But have you played any Tzadik guitars before? I know them mostly for.
I played one at Summer NAMM.
I didn't even know they made guitars until now.
They had I think they had them at their booth at Summer NAMM. I'm pretty sure they were there. I played unless I'm completely confusing them.
How does it compare to something like a Sur or a Whitfill or
Is it Sir or Sure?
Shure is the microphone brand. Sir is the guitar brand.
Like pardon me, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I've been pronouncing that wrong in my head for a long time.
You learn something new every day.
I would say, if I remember correctly, and if I'm 100% correct in my remembering that I played that guitar, it didn't wow me. It seemed like, oh, it's like one of those, like, you like play it, you're like, okay, that's a nice guitar. And then that's it. It's not like you long for it. It's not like where you play a guitar, like whenever you play, like I've played a Cower and I picked it up, I was like, holy crud, this thing amazing. Like, I'd say it's on par with Sir, if not a little bit under. But Sir also has like their really nice stuff and then their production line, don't they?
I am not an expert.
Not either.
Or I think at one point they moved everything pretty much to production line. It used to be more in depth, like it used to be more closer to handmade. But I wasn't completely wowed by it. Once again, though, I'm really kind of over the everyone's making a Telecaster guitar, or everyone's making a Strat, because Strats are back in because Mateus Asanto or whatever plays one now. So. Whatever.
I mean, I'd argue the Strat never left, but
no, I mean, I owned a Strat and I loved it. I would say that the Strat it never left, but it wasn't like super mainstream for a while.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's all about offsets.
Yeah, Strats I think are making a stronger comeback. For a while there, it was all about the Telly. And then I think it went from Telly to Gretsch to Strats. Now we're on offsets.
Definitely in the P-Dubs world, that is true.
Well, I'm talking about, I think that's kind of I don't use that to gauge the entire musical industry, but it's definitely what I've seen in the circles I run in. So. I mean, but like if you go to Nashville, the Telly never left. So
yeah, I mean the Telly's never going to leave because it's just super.
It's simple. It's a simple and versatile guitar. It covers a lot of ground. So
well, and the Telly kind of had a renaissance a few years ago when like John 5 started playing metal on them, and all these kind of.
Jim Root had the Telecaster from Slipknot.
Yep. Yeah, so like there's other venue, and like now you have all the Chapman T-type guitars and all this kind of stuff.
Well, John, that's a good point. John 5 is a really good one because John 5 plays so many different styles, because when he left kind of the Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie stuff and became a solo artist and releasing like virtuoso albums, he does a lot of chicken picking and a lot of country stuff in there too, mixed with metal and everything. So I think he crossed genres pretty well there and made it kind of a guitar that he showed like what it can do. But like his signature Squire has dual humbuckers in it, and
so while we're on the topic of T-type guitars, why don't you talk about the Strandberg Saline, Diaz?
Yeah, so Strandberg released a T-type guitar called the Saline, and this guitar T-type, it's not a Telecaster copy.
It is not a route of a single cut guitar. Like it is not.
No, it is inspired by the Telecaster, and you can see that. But it is this blew me away. So like the reason why I'm the one talking about it is because like I fell in love with this. And so it's got the one that I fell in love with. It's a butterscotch blonde black pick guard that follows the shape of the body. Just like a Telecaster does, but it's a different shape. But you can see it is a single cut. It has a Telecaster bridge pickup, Telecaster neck pickup. It's got a Strandberg style bridge. But it's got fan frets. It's got what looks like a bird's eye maple with mother of pearl inlays, which that's what my Telecaster has. Well, not bird's eye maple, but it has maple with mother of pearl inlays, and it's even got the control plate, which has one knob and pickup selector. The other knob is kind of in a strap position right below the bridge. So, but this thing is freaking amazing. The trans butterscotch is $17.95. And then they've got that's the baseline, and then they've got a deluxe that comes in candy apple red or vintage burst, and that starts at $2,200 or $2,195.
I think it's a hollow as well. There's some type of carving into the body there on the red one. If you in the limited edition version, if you get really close in there. Yeah, on the burst as well. I wonder, are they all hollow?
These things are. This is the stuff that I'm talking about. I want to see a guitar that can be influenced by a guitar of the past, but be something totally different. I mean, it looks like a Strandberg, but it is totally just something fierce.
You know, I'm normally kind of turned off by Strandbergs. Aesthetically, like I'm such stuck in the
Jason
classics.
Fuzzmonger has one, right?
Yeah, I believe he has multiple. But like this one really appeals to me way more than any headless guitar I've ever seen.
I want that butterscotch blonde one. I like so bad. I don't
know, that ice blue metallic is pretty nice too.
You know what? They picked a lot of great colors. The candy apple red is a great red too. It's not gaudy. It's not ugly, and even their vintage burst has a really cool look to it. It does look.
It's got a flame top.
Yeah, it's got a flame top. It's Strandberg did a great job. Amazing choice on design, and taking one of the base models. So I when I think of base model of guitars, I think Strat, Tele, and Les Paul for the most part. And then you've got like 335 style hollow bodies. But like when it comes to solid body guitars, those are the three I think of. And they took one of the classics and they changed it, made it modern, not just saying like Exotic did, where they're like modern features. No, this son of a gun is a modern guitar.
Oh, ultra modern. I mean, it's fan fretted. I mean, is it a compound radius on it?
I don't know, but this is like Limp Bizkit meets Brad Paisley. And I like it. Well, I won't say Limp Bizkit because I don't know if
24 frets, stainless steel.
Are they going to be on American Musical Supply?
Oh my gosh.
It's got a Endor profile, Ender neck profile. I don't know what that totally means. I'm assuming that's a unique shape. Don't Strandbergs have like a squarish neck shape where it like forces your thumb to be where it's supposed to be?
No. I'm on American Musical right now.
Oh my goodness.
Did Diaz just buy one?
No, they don't have it. I would totally buy one. I'm still waiting for Doug Cower to have guitars on sounds or something.
I mean, you could do a firm financing.
No,
Reverb.
No, I've got crappy credit.
All right.
Scott's like, all right.
Moving on.
I'm not touching that one. Let's move on to our last topic.
Am I going to get Ramsey railed?
No. The Earthboard magnetic pedal board. So this got announced at Summer NAMM, but somehow we missed it. So now it's kind of doing the media rounds, and we're seeing this
because it wasn't interesting enough for me to go. I need to touch that.
The reality is, I think there was an entire row at NAMM I didn't bother walking through because it was kind of like accessories row where you just get like
that's where you get like the weird straps, and you get like the people who are like, these are my new picks, and there's a little section. It's all right. It's been the same spot twice.
It's along the windows on the north side.
I don't own a compass, so I'm just gonna say
You know where the windows are, I would hope.
I know where the windows are.
Yeah, but then you got like where like Westminster really got stuck in the corner.
Westminster was in a really weird spot.
Yeah, so some people get really screwed on their position sometimes. But
usually, that back wall, I always thought that ball usually has kind of some of the odd stuff, because that's where Klopp's was last year, and then they
and
they
that
disappeared.
modular pedal was there this year.
Did
Modal effect
last year? That what's the expression pedal? The one that the sustainer.
Oh, the plus pedal.
Yeah, the plus pedal that was on the back wall last year.
They had a big boost this year.
Did they?
Yeah, they're right across from Stringjoy, weren't they? Or is that somebody else? No, that was Yellow Cake.
No,
where are they across from?
Yellow Cake was, dude. We interviewed the dude.
Yeah, they were next to Yellow Cake. I
might have been.
I don't know. I know Alexander Pedals was right next to Stringjoy. They were loud.
Anyway, so the Earthboard is a new take on pedal boards, which it's got some interesting promise to it. They're claiming it's magnetically powered effects layouts. And we kind of in our pre-episode sat there and kind of went, when you hear magnetically powered, what does that mean to you? And they're kind of cagey with what it actually means.
See, when I think magnetically powered, I think of like an alternator. Something that's revolving that causes a charge. That's the way that's the magnetic powered. Like that's what I think of. So I don't know how or like what they're charging or what their magnetic battery is.
Yeah, so from looking at it and debugging where my brain's at, because it looks like an aluminum rail or a steel rail pedal board design. But instead of using Velcro or like taping it down or doing like what Temple Board does where you go through like a sort of a peg system, this gives every pedal gets its own little kind of skate, for lack of a better term. I believe they call them gravity boots. Sort of like the way Temple actually sets up, where every pedal has to have a little back plate on it. And then it attaches magnetically to rails on the pedal board. And through that,
how do magnets
you get
work?
Your power.
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
No. That's actually a Insane Clown Posse thing. Someone will listen and will get it, and they'll be like, "Aha!" and they'll know. Don't worry, someone will.
Okay, we'll trust you.
Go back to
so my thinking, and like there's not much depth to these skates at all. There's just the magnetic feet, and then there's a DC plug that goes into your pedal.
This reminds me of something that a kid made at like science fair in 6th grade. Or the invention.
It kind of got that vibe.
We used to have the invention convention, so it switched every year. There was a science fair one year where you were like, "This is how magnets work," and then the next year you're like, "This is what the hell I did with magnets," like, and you showed how something like my invention convention was. I'm like, "Oh, this is how we could have floating cars," and I literally took magnets, and like, it didn't work, but they were just like, "Oh,
you tried to do maglev?"
Huh?
You tried to do a maglev?
I don't know what that is.
Magnetic levitation.
Yeah, I tried to do that.
Like a bullet train.
So I tried to do that. So I invented the bullet train. Is pretty much what I was saying in 4th grade.
So, where's your paycheck from that, Diaz?
I don't know. Miss Elder, my 4th grade teacher, probably still has it. She was kind of crazy. She was like Miss Lippy from Billy Madison. She was totally the lady who, like, I'm pretty sure I walked in and she was putting glue on her face. She made a ring out of like. She would just come up weird. You know what she did for fun? She made chainmail.
Weird.
Yeah, like, but it wasn't weird enough where you're like, you need to be away from children. It's weird enough where you're just like me as an adult now. I'm like, dude, that lady totally smoked pot. That's the only thing that made sense for half the stuff that she did. Like, she had to have been on drugs. There's nothing else makes sense.
Nice. So the other cool thing about this pedal board is it is battery powered effectively. That because of the rail system, they have a modular battery that can drop in and charge everything.
What if you have to ride your like stationary bike for 5 minutes before you can play?
Oh God!
You have to shake it.
You like have to go like really fast. You have to pedal. You're like going. That way you can lose weight and play guitar. You know what? I need to call these guys. Actually, I've got an idea.
There's definitely a market for guitar players who need to lose weight.
I am that market. I'm the market. play. It's like if your fat butt wants to play guitar, you better bicycle 5 miles really quick.
Yeah. So yeah, all in all, what's your guys' verdict on this at $350 to $650?
Not at that price.
I'm giving it a solid 3 out of 10.
I think it's an interesting concept. Gen 2 is really when it's gonna work.
I don't think
right now it's just too expensive.
It's too expensive, and it doesn't look like we're in a day and age where things have to look nice. It can't. What's the pedalboard company that had the metal slates?
Metal slates?
Yeah, they were like giant metal plates, and you hooked your guitar to it. I just saw it on Craigslist local to me not too long ago.
I have no idea.
I don't think it was Gator.
Oh, the ones that like they could lift.
Was it SKB or like Gator or something like that?
They were like diamond plated and like they'd lift and the cables ran underneath them.
I can't remember. I think so.
Those were back in like the Guitar Magazine days.
It wasn't. They weren't even
there.
diamond plated. They were just like slats of metal. We'll put it like we'll talk about it in the group. I'll find it and I'll post it.
Those things looked heavy as sin.
I'll post it after the episode goes because I posted a joke last time and it totally was. Number one, it was a stupid joke, and then people were just like, "I don't get it," and I'm just like, "Don't worry about it. You had to have been there."
Diaz, I'll show you how to post things where they don't post for 3 days.
Oh, I know. I need to use the feature. I just don't have. There's no filter and there's no like slow down. I need to think. Like my thought process is ready, fire, aim. So,
well, speaking of things that are hot and ready, fire, aim, you got one last piece of news there, Diaz, that you picked up today.
Yeah, like I feel like it something that could be talked about and is really cool. So Daniel Tyack, who used to own Salvage pedal boards, they were the brand that kind of made the boutique pedal board a big thing. He had the company for a while. They started getting backlogged. Things went crazy. He tried to move something. I guess he tried to change his business plan or something like that, and it didn't work. So he left the business, and he's actually starting a new company called Tyack Made. It looks like he's doing some leather work. It's kind of going towards the stuff that he likes in life, music, camping, stuff like that. But I thought it was pretty cool. Pretty interesting news that actually just his Facebook page launched today. You can find that a lot of people in the music industry are still friends with Daniel Tyack. But one of the
he was definitely like a nexus of a lot of like.
I mean, he was on
networking.
He was on 60 Cycle Hum. He was a host on there. He's the guy who made it happen with Bob Taylor on 60 Cycle Hum. Gabriel Tenorio, he introduced those strings because he mentioned that, like, I remember the episode listening to it where he's like, these strings have been on here for like 8 months and they sound great. So Daniel was a pretty big guy in the boutique gear world and stuff like that. And, I've been friends with him still since we're in a group together and we've talked and everything. And he's getting his life straightened out. He went through some personal things and seems like he's trying to make a comeback. And one of the things I want to read that he posted that in our group was him talking about let's see, sorry, I probably could have had this up. He said, he's hoping to use this to help recover from salvage crashing. He still owes some people some money and he wants to make it right. I think that's like one of the cool things is he understands that he's coming in with something already have happened and he's trying to make it right. So I think kudos to Daniel for trying to do that. I don't think anyone could ever talk negative about Daniel's character as a person. He was a business owner that his business failed and it happens. I mean, there's a lot of people, even our president of the United States has businesses that have failed, and that doesn't mean they're horrible people all the time, but no, I'm not comparing Daniel to president, and I'm not trying to make it political, but that's just like a prime example of a person who, there's a lot of people who are considered successful business people who have had businesses that failed first. You know.
Oh, I mean, Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's tons of examples of failed business people. They learn, they move on, and they adapt for the next one, and they grow.
Yeah. So I mean, I personally wish, you know, best of luck in this. You know, if there's one thing that could be said, you know, towards the end, whenever Daniel had other people making the stuff, the quality wasn't the way it was whenever it was just Daniel making stuff. But, you know, when Daniel was making stuff, he made a great quality product. A lot of people love their salvage boards. There's still, you know, you don't see a whole lot of them pop up for sale that much anymore. I mean, a lot of people have got them and loved them. I had a mini one that I traded off. That was a nice little board. So it was big enough for like a Volto underneath.
All right. Well, let's jump into our topic. We found a press release this week that the Berkeley College of Music, which is arguably the top tier of music colleges, up there with Juilliard and
well, and a lot of guitar players too. I think a lot of people in our realm of the musical world.
Berkeley is definitely known as being more of a contemporary music school versus like Juilliard is more traditional.
John Mayer went to Berkeley, didn't he?
Briefly, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where like people are like, I got accepted into Berkeley, and you're like, oh wow, you must be pretty good. Like that in itself.
Yeah.
Really speaks volumes.
A girl who played guitar with me growing up went to Berkeley, and she's outstanding.
One of my brother's guitar players, Aaron, I'm pretty sure it's Aaron. He went to Berkeley. So
yeah. So Berkeley College of Music has announced it will now welcome students who consider a laptop, music software, and a controller to be their primary instrument, referring to it as an EDI, electronic digital instrument, and says that its new stance is in recognition of the central role that computers now play in all types of music making. So it begs the question to us now, in 2018, is a laptop an instrument?
Of course, yeah. No, well, the main thing about, so when I think of an instrument, I think of something that you control and manipulate to produce sound in a musical fashion. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you can make noise with that I wouldn't consider an instrument, but and that also comes into the way you use things. Like, you've seen people who have shovel guitars. You took a shovel that in normal people's hands, you can make it cling and clang and all that, but people can turn it into an instrument. And that's with a laptop. You can use it for other things, but it's been turned into an instrument. And I think we were talking about it beforehand in our pre-ep about how the thing about making music with, oh my gosh, wow, my train just derailed.
Were we talking about how the piano at the time was a modern piece of technology?
Yeah. Well, like, things start off as toys and become musical instruments. The guitar was a toy. It was like it wasn't supposed to be this big thing that like people study and people have made livings out of, you know, making the best of this. It was just a toy. And it turned into a musical instrument that is considered a standard musical instrument is guitar. I mean, there's marching bands have guitar in it now. When they do halftime shows, you've got, you know, even like classical guitar, you've got all this stuff. Like it became this thing, and laptops are taking something and manipulating it and creating music with it. I mean, you can look at it as there's the hardware and the software. There's two parts to it. But look at the guitar and the amp, the guitar and the pedals and the amp, and like, you know, just all of this stuff. It has major components in it, but in the end, the process is used to make something musical that's pleasurable to listen to.
You also got to think of it as like maybe the next step in like how the piano is evolving, because the like first line in this like article thing from Berkeley is that it says from the Moog analog synthesizers from the 1670s, you got to think most piano courses at places like this aren't going to cover, you know, synth techniques and stuff like that. So this is going to be like the
a
logical
great
next
example.
step for like the modern keyboardist that might not need to go back and learn Bach to be able to write the next, 80s-esque synth track.
A great example for me, like we probably see in our personal lives, is how often in like church music is a lot of our outlets here, right? So that's where we see and interact with a lot of this. But how often the pianos or the key players at churches don't know how to use the keyboard to save their lives. Like they just know that, okay, I turn this on and hopefully I get sound out of it, because all they've learned how to do is play piano. They've never learned how to manipulate the digital side of it. And it's like a guitar player showing up, being handed a pedal board, and they go, I don't know how any of these things work.
Well, we just went through this with, we've got a Yamaha motif, something or other, and they started using it to control MIDI. And that, like, it was a learning curve for everyone, because we all like pitched in and tried to figure it out. And it shows that it requires knowledge. I think that's one of the things, like especially making it part of Berkeley, is that it's something that requires knowledge and requires being educated and knowing how to manipulate those things in a positive way. Anyone can go in and just do stuff. Like that's like editing and producing. Anyone can go in and just like double click, drop, whatever. But it takes a real artist in that area to do what they want to do. What's like that's you see advertisements for people who have produced music, and like they're like, I produced this song and this song, and you're like, there's to the point where people can listen to a song and they're like, yeah, this guy was behind it. Like you can just hear by certain different techniques they use and stuff like that.
Like we had that era where like Timberland was producing everything, and you could hear like his signature sound on everything. Yeah, and that little drum track thing that he kept doing on everything. Yeah. Or like you can hear when Pharrell works on something, and you can hear it in the percussion.
And there's my dogs.
There's something like that.
Gosh,
So what I find interesting about this is that this will help kind of fight the stigma of DJs or people who just show up and press play. Because I think this will help a lot of digital instrument people who come in and they're like, oh yeah, I know how to set up MIDI. I have this concept of like, I hear and I understand. I think what Berkeley will probably do is then provide formal music theory instruction on top of that, because this is still a performance degree. This isn't a like a studio production degree, like the courses I took in school, where like you actually most of the people in there didn't actually have much musical talent. We just knew how to run Pro Tools, or at the time we were using a different program. But it's education in the technical side only, whereas this program seems much more like it's actually a performance degree. So it's going to be in the craft and the artistry and the focus of what music is in Western society. Did I lose you guys entirely on that one?
No, I'm sorry. I'm looking something up. There's a producer. I was trying to look it up. What's it called?
Because I mean, you also see stuff like this where, like, if you follow the digital music or the electronic dance music trends, like you see the people who are like they just created a good remix of something, and then like the people who stick around for a while of original production, where like Deadmau5 is a classic example of like he's a piano player at heart.
Okay, so Tom Lord Alge.
Chris Lord Alge?
No, Tom Lord Alge. Tom, I'm looking it up. So one of the things that like sticks out is, so if you've heard of the band Seven Dust, they had a song called Waffle, which is a killer song. But there's two different versions of it out, and one of them is mixed by Tom Lord Alge, and that was that's the one that everyone listens to. So like even then, and he's credited, like whenever you if you get the album, it'll say Tom Lord Algae mix. Like that was in 2000. So like people who do certain things to songs get credit for it, and that started like there's producers and stuff like that. So like look at Mutt Lange.
Oh, Jimmy Iovine was he first came up through production. I mean, all these people. I'm just kind of curious. Oh, he's related to Chris Lord Algae. That's why I know him. Okay. Because Chris Lord Algae has a bunch of signature like Waves production products.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so because that name caught my eye when I was looking at, like, it was on a Facebook ad, because I knew the name from somewhere. I'm like, but like you see, like, and these people aren't just, they're not the mixing engineer they're not the engineer that's constantly mixing. But Butch Vig, he produced, and he has a certain sound that he goes for. But like a lot of these people nowadays are using laptops, and so a prime example of his laptop and instrument is gonna have to be Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch the Sound City
mm-hmm.
documentary, the whole time, for the most part, he's playing these different instruments, but he's using the laptop, and he's using that to manipulate the sound and to be an instrument in itself. So I think anyone who disagrees with that is just being a crump fart. The time is now, old man.
I was going to say, I mean, both of you are even younger than me. So, I mean, we are on the younger side of the musical spectrum.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, we've seen recently John Mayer is running around with an MPC controller, and he's just running his guitar into that after being a massive gearhead about everything. And, we're seeing trends like that happen.
Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead, he's out with Dead & Co. He's using H9s from Eventide, and he'll have an iPad up, and an iPad's not a laptop, but it's the same thing, the general sense of it. And he's using that to change his pedals, and that, I mean, it's an instrument. It's not like producing sound instrument, but it's changing sound. And if you go to the basis of the word instrument, like a hammer is an instrument, so and it's being used.
Or like Matt Bellamy from Muse, when he put a Chaos pad in his guitar.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was crazy. And that even what's the bass that they use during Madness?
Oh yeah, that thing.
Like right there, that's a computer that's being used to make a musical sound. So
someone might draw a line in the sand there, though, saying like, oh, there's a difference between a MIDI guitar or a MIDI pad on a guitar versus someone who can't pick up an instrument. I think that's where people are going to like draw the line in the sand and get angry about this.
Probably.
Is like so and so doesn't know how to play an actual instrument, where like, I don't see anyone going through Berkeley and not having to take 4 music theory courses and understanding chord structure and those kind of things.
Yeah, just because you can't, I mean, Jason Beckner can't play an instrument right now, but he's still creating a lot of music, and he's using a computer. Bam. I'm pulling that card. Do you guys know who Jason Beckner is?
Nope.
Guitar player, has Lou Gehrig's disease. He can't move anymore. The only way he can communicate right now is through eye movement.
Oh, so he's writing music using eye movement?
Yeah,
that
and he writes
cool.
it on a computer.
Wow.
And he'll have other musicians come over and play the parts for him. He still puts out albums.
I'm looking him up.
So Jason Kiesel just came out with a Jason Beckner. Do you remember we saw the guitar that had the numbers? That had like the different, like the 1, 3, 5, 7.
Yeah,
and they were different colors. Yeah, that's Jason Beckner. He just came out with a signature guitar through Kiesel, and he physically cannot play guitar because of Lou Gehrig's disease. He has ALS. So you know what? I throw that card out. I'm gonna pull the Jason Beckner card. Yeah, laptop, and that's the way he does a lot of stuff. Is through computers, and he's making music still. So
that's also a way a lot of other musicians will write parts, or they'll write music in a digital format before they'll perform it.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of Like,
look at bands, marching bands. We used to have a program where we could it was where we would write out the music and it would digitally play it. And
Finale.
You could make it. It probably was Finale. And you're using a laptop or a computer, and you might not be able to play those instruments, but you're able to write the music for it. I mean, I'd write a flute part. Yeah. I didn't know how to.
Oh, dude, I can't play drums at all. I can pick up drumsticks and I can hit things, but I can't play drums reliably.
I can do the intro to That Thing You Do by the Oneaters, and that's it.
Don't you mean the Wonders?
As in, I wonder what happened to the Oneaters. Listen, I'm more of a Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters fan. The Chantels.
All right. Well, I think we've worked this topic through.
Probably.
Let's just wrap it up then. Well, thanks for joining us.
Hold on. I want to say, if you disagree with us, go to our group and tell us. I want to hear a different view. I want to hear someone tell me why. Because I like to argue.
And we'll change your mind.
You won't change my mind.
Not your mind, their mind.
Mule. Oh yeah, I'll change your mind. Or I'll just make you so mad that you'll quit.
I mean, you've yet to change my mind on a topic about sandwiches and hot dogs, but
the hot dog's not a sandwich, though.
So with that, thanks for joining us today. Leave us a review on iTunes. I know at a certain point we actually get an iTunes rating, and that's supposed to help us. And instead of the 0.0 rating we have right now, follow us on the
we might have earned that rating.
I mean,
are you a 0?
Listen. 0 to hero. I'm like Hercules.
I was hoping for a Smashing Pumpkins reference, but all right. Follow us on Instagram at The Effects Loop. Honestly, some of our best content is there sometimes. Our Facebook group, as we mentioned earlier, is up and going. Join our discussion, chat about our topic, get into that. Keep an eye on our YouTube video. We've got some more content still in the works coming out here, as well as it's another way to listen to our episodes every week. And, if you got anything you want us to look at or talk about, send it to theeffectsloop@gmail.com. And this is Scott.
I'm Chris.
I'm Diaz.
Thanks for joining us. Have a good one,
Bye,
everybody.
guys.
All right. 3, 2, 1. In the words of Chris Carter, good enough.
Good enough. Unless you record 30 minutes beforehand and get Chris mad at you.
Welcome to the Effects Loop. I'm Scott.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Diaz.
We're keeping you in the loop of the guitar community. Boop.
Don't bad hate.
Burp. Oh, we're not going to sing the whole thing?
Oh, no. Oh, no.